Hello there, Trevor here from Double Bill Movies. Well, as I said in my previous video, which was a small haul video, I got Motel Hell and I was going to watch it with Friday the 13th. But this video is going to be about Motel Hell and this 4K. But also, I'm going to do some comparison shots with this Arrow Blu-ray version of the film. So it's from 1980. It's a very sort of quirky film. It's quite different actually, I thought. I'd only seen it once before on the Arrow release and I quite enjoyed it. But to see it in 4K, I thought the picture looked really nice. The sound, although it's DTS HD Master Audio, there is a compressed feel to it. But that would be in the mixing stage and nothing to do with changing it to HD Master. They would have had to have gone back to all the original tapes and done a completely new mix if they wanted to get rid of how that sounded. But it doesn't seem to detract from the film too much. It still sounded pretty good and you could hear everything you needed to hear. I thought the detail in the image was really nice. The aspect ratio of 1:8:5, meaning that there's little masks top and bottom of your picture, so that just means it's ever so slightly wider than 16:9. Yeah, so this skew, as you could call it, from a Shout Factory or Scream Factory, I guess it's the horror part of their business, does have a reversible sleeve, but all it does is get rid of a barcode that's usually there, which is where that gap is once the slip cover's on. So apart from that, it's the same image. A little bit of a letdown, I suppose, compared to this Arrow version. That's the commissioned artwork. Try and get rid of the glare, but then the opposing artwork on that is just this basically. Anyway, so the story, the farmer Vincent has a meat smoking company, that's a way of preserving meat where you can't freeze it, you smoke it. Basically you don't roll it up and smoke it. You burn wood and the smoke from that you know, embeds itself into the meat and helps preserve it. But he has some special ingredients that he puts into his meat, and you know, pretty sure if you haven't seen the film already you'll be able to work out what that is. But I won't spoil it for you. Basically, he sort of encourages people to have accidents, and then he takes them to his motel, but doesn't give them a room as such. More a field. Yes, sort of the first character we see. They're a couple on a motorbike, and the motorbike goes out of control. The male rider of the bike doesn't survive, but the female does, and she becomes one of the lead characters in the film. There is a sheriff, but seems to be sort of aware of what's going on, but then kind of doesn't. One aspect I liked about the film was the sheriff and the female lead that I just mentioned end up kind of going on a date sort of thing, and they go to a drive-in, but what they actually do is they go to a field behind the drive-in and they use binoculars to look at the screen. But because the sheriff knows the proprietor at the cinema, the open-air cinema, he calls them on the radio and says, can you patch the sound through on this frequency, so they can listen to it in their police car. And that film is called The Monster That Challenged the World. Now, I've never seen this film. I know Bryn from Horror Hands has definitely seen it, and he's mentioned it before. But yes, it was great to hear that they used a real film and they showed some of the footage on the open air screen. So I want to track that film down actually and give it a go, because I quite like my monster movies. But anyway, yeah, so as I said, this is my second viewing. So the first time being on Blu-ray and the second time being on 4K. Now obviously, to do my picture comparisons, I took a little look at the Blu-ray so I could take pictures of my screen and show you. So let's get into that, shall we? This is the Blu-ray. So some pretty nice colours. As you can see, the bottom left of the picture is kind of a wooden structure, and you can't see much detail. The hills in the background, yeah, there's a fair amount of detail and colour, but it's quite saturated, not awful. Again, there is a little bit of that rainbow effect that my camera creates because it can't pick up the light very well. You know, it's the best I can do really. But so sort of the brown band above the truck, that's kind of not necessarily on the film. That's partly the camera, but this gives you a representation of it. And then if we go to the 4K version, you can see a lot more detail in the foreground in that corner, and there's actually much nicer colour palette, I think, much more natural colour palette, and the truck looks really nice actually. So obviously that's most of the thing with this difference between Blu-ray and 4K. Obviously with 4K you generally have HDR. I mean, my projector only does HDR10, so I couldn't see the Dolby Vision that is present on this disc, but it looked really nice. So if I go back to the Blu-ray image, oh come on, there we go. I was trying to zoom in a bit and just give you an idea of the detail. I mean, again, that looks fluffy because that's my digital camera. That's not, there's a lot more detail than that if you're watching it on screen basically. And now if I go back to the 4K one and I zoom in, see there's more detail and a little bit more color variation and contrast and stuff. Okay, so the next image is this night one, where Farmer Vincent is setting out some traps. As I said, he likes to invite people to have accidents. So let's just get rid of the extra bits on the screen. You know, so look at the sort of the colours in his jacket. Again, there is a bit of the colour banding, the rainbow effect from my camera, but not too much. You know, fairly three-dimensional picture, quite a bit of depth to it. And go to the 4K one, and there you go. I think there's even more depth in that actually, and it's a little bit easier to pick out what's going on in the image. And yeah, colours on his jacket look a bit better. And then the last image, which was basically two women doing what they call tubing, basically in rubber rings jumping into a lake. And the woman on that lady there is the female lead that I mentioned earlier. But this other woman is the one on the front cover, with Farmer Vincent. That's a bit pointless showing you there, isn't it? Because little tiny dot on the screen, but never mind. So yeah, it's fairly washed out because it's nice and sunny and everything, but the colours are a bit tame. It's kind of brown a little bit. So I'm going to have a look at the 4K image. There you go, a little bit greener, a little bit more green on the leaves in the foreground, I'd say, as well. Perhaps a bit more detail if I zoom in. Yeah, you can. So these are the 4K ones, and these are the Blu-ray ones. Okay, so not an horrendous difference between the Arrow Blu-ray and the Shout Factory 4K. There is a Blu-ray in the Shout Factory version, but that will be region A locked. Now obviously I have a multi-region player now, but I will keep hold of my Arrow version because it is a first edition. It's a dual format, DVD and Blu-ray. So it's Farmer Vincent, and that's the other lady in the donut, and there she is. So that's the booklet that comes with the first edition. Yeah, I don't know if there's been unboxings of this years ago. It's been out a while now, hasn't it? So there's Motel Hell. I mean, the O is there, but it just keeps going out, so it looks like Motel Hell. Farmer Vincent's Smoked Meats. Yeah, nice little booklet with that one. But of course, this video is mainly about this, isn't it? The 4K. I think it's a very worthy upgrade. But like I said, you wouldn't go wrong to have the Blu-ray. There's none of this horrible teal tint or anything that's been applied. Basically, the color palette is basically the same. It's just the limitations of Blu-ray kind of make it look a bit darker, perhaps a bit more saturated, where there's more colors available. Probably 68 billion colors available for 4K. It can give you a much more realistic representation of what the director actually wanted you to see. So there's the two discs, there's the Blu-ray and the UHD. So yeah, I'm not going to bother getting the reversible art out because, as I said, it's just a barcode. So there you go, Motel Hell. Definitely worth an upgrade if you want the 4K. Give the video a thumbs up if you like that. Please subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more of my videos and don't want to miss any of my videos. In that case, make sure you set your notifications to all. Yeah, join me in the comments. Have you seen this film? Are you intrigued by this film? Do you like this presentation? Do you like the fact that I show you the image comparison? Let me know your thoughts. Anyway, till the next video, take it easy.